domain, a few clicks, and you're in business. Make now the future at GoDaddy.com/Aero.
The man we're about to discuss has gone by many names. He's been known as Dr. York, Chief Black Eagle, Isa al-Habib al-Mahdi, and even His Excellency, Dr. Malachi Kobina York. At one point in his life, our subject went so far as to adopt the title, and this is a direct quote, folks, so don't hold on to your britches, Imperial Grand Potentate, the Noble Reverend Dr. Malachi Z. York, 33 degrees, 720 degrees. If you ask the man himself, he might tell you that he spent his life in the pursuit of knowledge. But the proof, it seems, is in the pudding, as despite his so-called quest for enlightenment, the man's legacy remains one of hatred, fraud, and child molestation. He might have granted himself all manner of lofty but ultimately meaningless titles, but to your infinite relief, I'll refer to him only by the name on his birth certificate. And this is the story of Dwight D. York. Throughout his life, York would claim Baltimore, New York, or New Jersey. But according to his birth certificate, he was born on July 26th of 1945 in Boston, Massachusetts. He claimed that at age 7, he was sent to the city of Aswan in southern Egypt, where he supposedly received an Islamic education at the hands of his grandfather. Later in life, he wrote that, "My grandfather, as Sayyid Abdur Rahman al-Mahdi, the Imam of the Ansars in the Sudan until 1959 AD, upon looking into my eyes, foretold that I was the one who would possess the light." York then claimed that following his education, he returned to the United States in 1957 and, at the age of 12, settled with his family in Teaneck, New Jersey. By the late 1960s, a young Dwight York had taken to calling himself Imam Isa. He developed an interest in organizations such as the Nation of Islam and the Moorish Science Temple of America. But instead of joining one of the many pre-established black nationalist movements, he decided to found his own. After changing his name to Imam Isa Abdullah, he founded a movement that had become known as the Nuwabian Nation, and with a handful of loyal proselytizers, seedbed of 1970s Brooklyn. Wearing green and black dashikis, York and his followers set up a bookstore specializing in black nationalist literature and would attempt to recruit those who visited. The method was an effective one, and by the end of the 1970s, York commanded a congregation of between 2,000 and 3,000 followers. Throughout the 70s, York and his acolytes imbibed a relatively simple mix of Orthodox Islam and black nationalism. However, as the 1980s rolled around, York began to preach a much different form of religion. While drawing from various religious and historical themes, he renamed his movement the Holy Seed Baptist Synagogue and unveiled a new logo featuring the six-pointed star of Judaism, the Islamic crescent, and the Ankh.
It's just about time.
Symbol that also associated with pre-Islamic
It's
Sudan.
just about time.
This upset a great deal with his conservative Muslim followers, and the group began hemorrhaging adherents.
Oh.
But York wasn't done. He renamed the group a second time, calling it the Yamasee Native American Tribe, and began teaching his followers that they were affiliated with the Muskogee Nation. He told them their ancestors had not been brought over on slave ships, and had instead migrated to America during the time of Pangea, a supercontinent that existed around 2 to 3 million years ago, which eventually separated into the continents in the present day. Naturally, this sounded nothing short of unhinged to the majority of his followers, who understood their roots were in Africa and not the Americas. And once he started changing religious ideas, the older followers became skeptical and left the group, said former follower Robert J. Rohan. That's what happened to me. He came up with an idea to move down south, apparently because he was under FBI investigation, Rohan added. But then he told us it's because we were moving to the I guess he forgot to give us 2 explanations, and that's what made a lot of the brothers think that he was full of them. Following the announcement that the group was relocating to Georgia, York once again rebranded his organization. He changed his name to Malachi York, effective March 12, 1993, then declared his movement the United
Just made
Nation
a
of
shield.
Moors. A group that once numbered in their thousands now stood at just 200 to 300 strong. And ironically, York was more powerful
That's
than
really
ever.
cool.
He built up quite a war chest throughout the past 23 years due to the FBI's interest in his movement. Many believe that this was done through illegal means. Yet the fact remains that York had enough capital at his disposal to purchase a 476-acre plot of land near Edenton, Georgia, on which the compound known as Tamaray was constructed over a period of 3 years. The New York Times later reported that the compound featured 40-foot pyramids, obelisks, statues of gods and goddesses, as well as a giant sphinx. But the Times also reported that Tamaray was not York's full-time residence. Instead, York stayed at a $500,000 mansion in Athens, Georgia, about 60 miles away from Tamaray, that he purchased was his home. And it relocated to the 1983, and under the yoke of the power he wielded, York began preaching an increasingly radical form of his own personal religion, Washingtonism. The Southern Poverty Law Center described this as a black supremacy type war with worship of the Egyptians and their pyramids, a belief in UFOs, and various conspiracies related to the Illuminati and the Bilderbergers. The profile on their website included quotes from a letter penned by York himself, in which he stated, "The Caucasians had not been chosen to rule the world. They lacked true emotions in their creation. We never intended them to be peaceful. They were bred to be killers, with low reproduction levels and a short lifespan." Theory has come to the second from Those albinos are called Cain in the Bible, and Cain is short for Caucasian. At some point after moving to Georgia, York began telling his followers that he was an alien. "I'm an extraterrestrial master teacher from the planet Risk," he wrote. "My kind has been coming to this planet before life formed. My incarnation as Elon Seed, or Avatara, was originally in the year 1945 AD. In order to get here, I traveled by one of the smaller passenger crafts called Shan, out of a mother planet called Merkaba, or Nibiru." York also informed his adherents that the so-called mother plane, or Nibiru, would launch the Crystal City, sometimes called New Jerusalem, to our solar system from its position, Orion. He claimed that this would be a 40-year process, by which 144,000 chosen people would translated from August of 2003 to August of 2043. The chosen few would then be groomed for 1,000 years before being returned to Earth for the final battle against the Luciferians, and thus redeeming man from the 6,000-year rulership of the devil and his seed. To York's followers, his word was prophecy. Outsiders had a much simpler view. "They're a cult," said Ghazi Y. Kamkan, a representative from the Council on American Islamic Relations. "They consider their leader a prophet, which means they have deviated from the Islamic way," he said. But York had not simply deviated from pre-established Islamic teachings. He had deviated from basic human decency, too. As far back as the group's days in Brooklyn, York had established strict sexual practices within the Nubian community, and declared that he and he alone had the right to intimate relations with the group's women and girls, including the wives and daughters of his followers. Theodore Gabriel, emeritus lecturer in theology and religious studies at the University of Gloucestershire, wrote that, while extolling the virtues and importance of family life and the conjugal relationship, York denies relationships to his followers except at strictly controlled intervals. He urges his female followers to pattern themselves on the Islamic paradigms of the wife and mother, apparently desiring the creation of stable family units. But in reality, the husbands and wives are segregated in dormitories, separated also from their children. York permits spouses to cohabit only once every 3 months. They are permitted to meet in the green room prior to appointment only. Having managed to coerce his followers into allowing access to their wives and children, York's proclivities became increasingly depraved as the years went by.
I've already died.
Many
I've
had
already
suspected
died,
the
man.
FBI's interest in him.
I've already died. I think I'm, yeah, I've died twice, I think, already. Nope, one, just once. Come in here, buddy.
Following the anonymous complaints that might well have come from his followers, York was arrested and charged with more than 100 counts of sexual abuse of children, 4 years old. According to Billison, when he, York, was finally indicted, state prosecutors simply had to cut back the number of counts listed from well beyond 1,000 to slightly more than 200, because they feared that juries simply wouldn't believe the magnitude of York's evil. It was believed to be the nation's largest child abuse prosecution ever directed at a single person, and perhaps the number of victims or number of alleged criminal acts. Following the event in 2003, York attempted to negotiate a the letter from the presiding judge read as follows. Dear Mother, with all due respect to your government, your nation, and your court, we, the indigenous people of this land, have our own rights, accepted sovereignty, our own governments. We are a sovereign people, the Yamasee, Native American Creeks, Seminole, Washita Mound Builders. All I'm asking is that the court recognize that I am an indigenous person. Your court does not have jurisdiction over me. I should be transferred to the Morris Cherokee Council Court, in which I will get a trial by juries of my peers. A fair trial. It must be tried by the settlers or Confederates. I have to be tried by Native Americans, and Native Americans, that's my inalienable rights, and it's on record. Since York's appeal was grounded in his belief that he was indigenous to North America, the judge finally rejected the appeal. York was then convicted of transporting minors across state lines, demonstration, as well as racketeering, financial, and port violations. Then sentenced to 135 years in
These
prison.
things are ridiculous.
York's followers assert a number of defenses, including that the leader, Malachi Z. York, who was charged and convicted, is not the same person as the Dwight D. York, who is listed in court documents as the defendant. Others say that York was set up by his son Jacob in coordination with Al-Qaeda American mobs, who were jealous of York's influence among African-American Muslims. York himself believes that his betrayal, arrest, trial, and imprisonment, along with his eventual release, were foretold in Chapter 10 of Zechariah Sitchin's book, The War of the Gods and the Men, with York deity, Ra. York's followers then said that since 1999, York has been the Consul General of Monrovia, Liberia, under the appointment of then-President Charles Taylor. They argue that he should be given diplomatic immunity from prosecution and extradited as a persona non grata to Liberia, but both American and Liberian officials have rejected this claim. As of 2024, Dwight York is serving his sentence at the United States Penitentiary Administrative Maximum Facility in Florence, Colorado. He is inmate number 17911-054. So I want to 22 hours a day with a projected release date of July 12th of the year 2020. If Dr. York, or Chief Black Eagle, or whatever he wants to call himself, is indeed an integrated, educated, and disciplined person, then maybe he'll survive. If not, and he needs to be immortal, then he'll die where a man of his character letsreadsubmissions@gmail.com, and you might even hear your story featured in the next video. And if you want to support me even more, grab early access to all future narrations and bonus content with our Patreon, or click that big join button to get extra perks for members of the channel. And check out the Let's Read podcast. All of these stories and big compilations located anywhere you listen to podcasts. All of those it's all witchcraft.
Don't wait. Redeem Wawa rewards for $1 hot coffee, $2 iced coffee, and $3 Monster Energy.
At iBuyDirect, our virtual try-on lets you find the perfect pair straight from your device. iBuyDirect.com.
Next we have 40 allegedly true stories. Creepy encounters, home breaking, stalkers, and more. Each link to everyone who either sent in a story or allow me to share their story at my request. If you have a story of your own, it can be sent to my subreddit, reddit.com/r/numberread. Likes and comments are always appreciated if you enjoy. Also, I know this is a wild goal, but I'm trying to reach 100,000 subscribers. So if you are new here and if you enjoy this video, please consider subscribing. I usually post multiple videos a day, and I always work my hardest to bring the best, most consistent content possible. So enjoy the video. Over. I hope you all have a great night. This is a sort of a small town community, where it's not really crime-ridden or exactly dangerous. Around this time last year, I was working full-time at a little Japanese retailer shop at the mall near my house. My schedule fluctuated, but the majority of my shifts were closing shifts. I preferred this because it gave me enough time to sleep in, make myself a lunch, catch the bus, get to the mall a bit earlier to buy snacks and a drink, before I begin my dreaded half-hour shift on one particular day. As I was getting ready to walk to the bus stop, I saw a big commotion going on right across from my house at the town hall. Across the street, right before several other police cars and the ambulance rushed by. I was waiting so long. I got off at the intersection where I'm supposed to take a second bus. That leads me straight to the terminal across the mall. While I was waiting at the shelter, a guy around my age, in his 20s, came right at me, with eyes so black and empty. Mind you, there was no one else around. I was thinking to myself that it seemed odd he was wearing a sweater with a heavy-looking backpack and construction boots, both of which looked oversized for his tall, slim figure. When it was blazing hot outside, not even for a split second, one pair of I usually try to keep myself and then proceeded to take a seat beside me, still gazing at me, and mustered a hi before going on that he recognized me from work, and if I was going there right now, etc. When the bus finally arrived, we both got on, and he took a seat next to me. We had small talk about random stuff and our hobbies. He went on to tell me about his broken relationship with his parents, where he ended up getting kicked out. Since he was homeless at first, but he kind of confirmed it subtly. He told me that he's been couch surfing between friends' houses. He reached the bus terminal that's across the mall. He ended up walking me to my work. I didn't ask him to, before going on to his life. For the party. He asked for my number. Right.
painted world. Is that what's about to
prior to
happen?
my employment there. The other younger females who worked in the restaurant didn't like to wait on him because he was kind of weird. And kind of creepy, overly excited.
Oh, did we have to do this thing? Oh man. Oh man.
I was free to talk to people.
Oh man. Okay.
The objective, unfuck with the ball, to describe myself. Was simply entertaining in your family.
Okay. We might have to check some stuff out real quick. First, let's get rid of that.
Even though at this point it was very innocent, it was generically acquired, and maybe had everyone's names written by each character. Still, some servers were uncomfortable enough that management had asked me to start working with them. He asked if I liked them, almost in an unexplainable childlike way.
There it is.
So I told him they were used because they were harmless enough. And I could tell that making them and gifting them made him happy. I figured it was his pastime during the later part of his life. He was unmarried, had no kids. And his daily hobby was visiting different women at different restaurants. Some of them older, some of them younger like I was. He would regularly talk about the lives of the other waitresses he would visit, though I hadn't met any of them. I genuinely felt like I knew them. I just figured the guy was lonely, and there's nothing wrong with that. He would call me sunshine, and try to offer advice where it wasn't warranted or solicited. I wasn't afraid to, respectfully, yet aggressively, put it in his place. I remember one specific occasion that he tried to criticize my relationship with my boyfriend.
Alright, now let's see how many souls we can get, because we might want to just level up before we mess with that, because last time, I did that on the first run, and I failed. I mean, I failed bad, too, it was hard.
Fully supported myself, and had a good attitude and outlook on life. Hence the adjective, unfuck with them. Anyway,
I don't think we have enough to really. We'll level up like twice or something, like 2 things.
Trying to be a father, acting like a child who needed mom's love.
So.
The next time we visited, he had me in carved woodworking, and he had made my boyfriend's initials on them as an apology. He would buy me packs of gum, mints, take printed photos of himself with a scolding word.
What can I poison?
No smoking, sunshine.
Or add the resin to? What can I add the resin to?
Without his help. Everyone else
This
was
time.
me, but whatever, right?
Let me see.
Me being his waitress, his gifts and actions got progressively more expressive. He started writing poems and short stories that had bad grammar, and were so elementary, they were almost painful. But he told me he just started to try it out, so I encouraged him, thinking he's lonely and needs a pastime. I had no problem with him writing little Hallmark card-style poems and giving them to me. The slightly off-putting aspect of this was that all of the poems and stories had a general theme of love and family. Also, I think it was around this time that he started looking at my Facebook page regularly. We weren't friends, and I told him I was never going to accept a friend request, so don't ever send one. Harsh, but boundaries, right? He would occasionally Photoshop pictures of me for my Facebook page, and maybe put my face on a cartoon body or something like that. He also kind of started to obsess over the fact that I was a twin. He became very interested in me and all of my sisters. He would write stories about the twins, or the sisters, or make comic book style artwork about the twin superheroes. You can find a photo of my twin on Facebook somewhere. I started using her face photoshopped on things too. When I did some traveling, took some artsy style pictures of the
Oh, that's brutal. That's brutal.
Like this guy, complimented pictures.
I'm surprised you can do it with one hand. That's awesome. It's still too slow.
After a year at my first serving job, I left for another serving job where I would be working weird, third shift hours.
Okay, so okay. Now I'm learning.
Way to commit the weird hours, and at the new place at least twice a week. I still maintain my fast food job.
I probably couldn't add it to this either. Okay.
A place that people rarely come in, sit down and
But I
eat.
could add it
Never
to
once said
this.
my schedule. Just drive by, see my car. The stories he would write became progressively sexual and graphic. I guess if I finally felt comfortable to share these things with me. He'd always accept me for anything that was more erotic. It was like he wanted a friend, wanted to be my father, and he wanted me to be his mother, all in this weird, childish, overly animated type of way. She made me discuss different stories.
Oh, that's not bad.
Super explicit with those. Because he was a super sexy, badass cover sheriff. All the men of the saloon wanted me. He would include weird details like how someone had an STD. If I remember correctly, he made my sister the character that got an STD, and had a huge issue with it. And particularly had a huge issue with the fact that he started the story right. It's a true story, he rewrote the story without changing anything except for this is not a true story. And he did not get an STD. I don't know. It was wild. There's also a weird photo that he took of my sister and I when she worked in the same place as I did.
I guess if it already has a
He
magic
took a total of 2
effect,
pictures of me with his digital camera.
then it's
This was
no
one of them.
good.
We had us pose with our hands out like we had a serving platter sitting on our
Well,
hands.
that's about to break.
Photoshop a
It's
plate with his
done.
head on it. And Photoshop knives in our hands. I thought it was the funniest thing ever. Printed and laminated one for each of us to keep. At this point, I've known this man and been well acquainted with him for more than 30 years. I genuinely felt sorry for the guy, and felt like I was able to offer him a friend who really needed one. Aside from visiting waitresses, this included visiting an occasional bar lesson show and attending the local courts just for fun. I was very aware that something was off about him, but I was okay with it because, though it was hard to pinpoint exactly, I understood, and also knew he would never, or could never be, my fit person. Admittedly, this was a false
Here we
claim
go.
as a server. I offered more than food. I accidentally became a psychiatrist. There was a mid-20-year-old with autism I became good
Okay,
buddies
come
with,
on.
despite him offering me money every once in a while for a blowjob. There was a 40-year-old man who thought he was going to marry a stripper half his age after he gave her all of his savings and sold his Mustang to give her more money. There was the paranoid 50-year-old schizophrenic man who had clearly never been diagnosed or received any help, and was a person who felt comfortable in practicing his social skills with. I digress. I guess I just want to be transparent that I was aware of all the red flags, but I was okay with it. But then things started to
I can get them one at a
cross the line,
time.
though they were probably already passed when I got engaged. He would ask me stuff like, if I'd let him hold my baby when I'd have kids. He started to write stories and make cards and cartoons from my fiance's perspective. He would say, I bet this is how Luke feels about you. He would also do it from a mother's perspective, saying stuff like, this must be a mother's dream. I mean, at this point, he was seriously making so much cartoons, pictures, stories.
Let's not stir up the pot. Let's not stir it up. Let's just
along the lines of
take him out.
motherly, childish, silly, sexual, romance, and
Last time I just ran right at him, so that probably wasn't a good idea. It's probably not a good idea now.
My fiance and I had an open dialogue about Tim, and at this point, we decided it was best to cut him off. I was looking for a new job to get off the wacky hours I was working, and the timing just seemed right. Tim was also regularly sending me applications to all restaurants he wouldn't mind going to. So yeah, there needed to be a break. My fiance wanted to talk to him, so I didn't seem like a bad guy, and all contact was cut. He respected it, to an extent. After cutting him off, Tim still had a weird contact with me through my older sister. She was a server at another
Oh,
restaurant.
they have a lot of health too.
Though she
Wow.
avoided him and asked to never serve him given his interactions with me. However, she was also engaged and her wedding date was approaching. He also wrote her letters and made her cards with words that were way too heartfelt for me to a stranger regarding our marriage. Anyway, they decided to ask a few of the other servers if they were planning on going to the wedding. Two of them were, and upon hearing this news, Tim described me in detail and asked the other servers to try to take some pictures of me for him. When I heard this, it was about 6 months after I had cut him off. I had a big fat eye roll over it, and thought whatever about it because the servers were
Way the
there.
heck back
He
here.
was still respecting our request to not contact me any longer. It's also relevant to note he's been blocked from my Facebook, which I haven't been actively using in 2 years or more anyway. From as simple as Good Morning Sunshine to intricate and extensive stories. So, a timeline reminder before the punchline. I first waited on him around May 2015. He followed me to my next job and my long-term fast food job around the middle of 2016 and continued to follow me. I cut him off around February or March of 2018 when I was cleaning out my filing cabinet in December of 2019. I stupidly decided that I could throw all the weird, creepy, unsolicited artwork away. It had been nearly 2 years with no issues, no attempt to contact, and the stuff was just cluttering my space. Last week, I was sitting in my living room. A recognizable vehicle is parked outside of my driveway on the wrong side of the road. A man has his car window down. I see a flash. I quickly grab my glasses to try to discern what is going on. I see his childish, overly animated smile, and I recognize his hair and facial hair. I realize the shirt he's wearing is the exact type of shirt Tim wears. I realize I recognize the vehicle because it's the same vehicle that was pulled to my place of employment without Tim's suit for almost 3 years. Flash. Glasses property to the Los Angeles residence. Over 2 years later, taking pictures of my car and home with that goddamn digital camera that I took my picture with twice before in the past. I've been reading a lot of posts from here, and I'm remembering some weird stuff that happened to me and my family. I've already posted one story here, and it helped me to deal and realize that things are not as safe as I think. Sorry about my English, by the way. I'm Brazilian. This happened last year when I, 24 years old, was visiting my mom. My neighborhood is known for being safe, or at least that's what my family thought. We've got problems with neighbors on both sides of our house. We live in a small town that has been growing due to the university that was built in here. My mom lives across the street from the uni, as she teaches there. Our house has 2 floors, and my room is on the 2nd floor. The window is right on the front of our house, so you can see the street from it. Every night around midnight, when I was going to sleep, I heard my dogs barking and growling. Whenever I went to the window to see why they were barking, I couldn't see a thing. There are a lot of trees and bushes in front of my house, and everyone was making the barking kind of noise. This went for at least a week, and it was always at midnight. This night, I was having trouble sleeping, so I was video chatting with my boyfriend. At midnight, the dogs were barking like crazy. I was sitting right in front of my window and couldn't see anything unusual. I felt a weird vibe, like I was about to discover what was hiding on my front yard, scaring my dogs. Turned off the lights, stayed still, watching the streets in a placement that who was outside couldn't see me. My boyfriend was still chatting with me, saying that maybe it was a fox or a raccoon, because there's a lot of wildlife around where my mom lives. I stayed there for a long time. My boyfriend went to sleep, and I was looking at the window. It was about 1:30 when I saw something moving through the bushes. It was a man wearing all black, crouched right behind the bushes. I froze, and I didn't call my mom to see it. I already told her about my dogs going crazy in our front yard at the same time every night. But like my boyfriend, she said maybe it was an animal. So I was there looking at him. He couldn't see me. He started moving but still was bent over so no one could see him. But as I was on the 2nd floor, I could see him just fine. He crawled with his back right next to our fence until he reached the neighbor's gate. Right inside that gate was a car parked. What happened next was really fast. He lit up a Molotov cocktail and tossed it in the car. That car went up in flames like crazy, and I finally called my mom to see what was happening. He ran away like a feral cat, so fast down the street. My mom was calling the police, and then the firemen. But as they got here, the man was long gone. The next day, my mom got a call from the police officer that came the night before, telling her that they arrested the man that did it. He was trying to convince his ex-wife, who was our neighbor, to get back with him. He said he would make things worse if she didn't get back with him. After that, she moved out in a week. He never really talked to her, so I don't know any more details. I'm happy he got arrested. I'm sad I only managed to do something after he set her car on fire. I have apologize for the length and obligatory I'm writing this on my phone. This is a memory that keeps popping up in my head. I still shiver at the thought of it, even though most people tell me I'm being paranoid. I think they're saying that to make me feel better, but so far, it hasn't worked. In 2015, I was living with my then boyfriend. I was 18 at the time. We were living in a very sketchy apartment building in a very sketchy neighborhood. When I say sketchy, I mean crack house type of sketchy. You'd be finding a group of alcoholics, severely mentally ill people to drug dealers and heroin addicts living in these apartments. And the police were called to the property once or twice every 2 weeks. We even drove by sometimes to check for safety reasons. There was an incident once during the night. One of the neighbors knocked on the door, and my boyfriend went to open up while I was asleep. One of the neighbors, a drug addict who happened to be severely schizophrenic, was at the door, and he barged into the apartment and threatened my boyfriend with a knife. Luckily, my boyfriend managed to calm him down
Oh
and got
my
him out of the
goodness.
apartment. For reasons like this, we bought a live security camera that we installed on our door that was
Guys,
also connected to our
won't die.
system, so that we could easily check who was at the door. Everything was fine for a couple of weeks, until this one night. My boyfriend's best friend was sleeping over this weekend, and thank God for that. We were all sleeping. I guess it was around 3 or 4 a.m. at the time, when I woke up with someone ringing the doorbell. The camera was connected to the TV, but there was also a small screen attached to the door that I could activate to see who was outside, as everyone was sleeping alone. I walked into the hallway to check the small screen instead of turning the TV on. When I pressed the button, I saw two guys wearing hoodies looking at the camera. I paused for a second because I didn't really understand what was going on. Then they looked at each other, nodded, and one of the guys reached his hand towards the camera and ripped it out, making the screen go black. I stood there for about 5 seconds before I realized what happened. I ran back to the living room, shook my boyfriend awake, almost yelling, while also whispering, "Quick, get out. Someone just stole your camera." He got it up and ran outside. Didn't even bother to put on his shirts or shoes. All the noise woke his buddy up, naturally. According to him later on, he saw a guy running away into a wooded area, so he chased after him. What he didn't know at the time was that I saw two guys and not just one.
Alright, that was one.
I think the guy who ran away was just a distraction, because about a minute after he ran out, I heard someone entering the hallway. It was an absolute terror. Then he noticed that, and sprinted to the door separating the hallway and living room. The conversation was something along the lines of, "Intruder. Oh, is boyfriend's name here? But no, he's not. Oh, could I maybe just come inside and sit down for a minute? I don't think that would be appropriate since he isn't here for the moment. Well,
Oh
but
no.
I could just
I
come
went
inside
too
and wait
far.
for him until he gets back." I said, "No, you're gonna have to leave. Please, just for a minute. No, please leave." He left. Buddy came in with a shocked but also frightened expression on his face. Both of us were in awe about what just happened. My boyfriend came back about 5 minutes later. All successful chase. Both me and Buddy were terrified. He started telling us what happened when he was outside. Boyfriend said he only saw one guy outside. When I had time to process the situation,
Oh, neat.
he was swear. A.
Oh no,
The
not
camera
me.
as a distraction so my boyfriend would chase him. Look out, when he gets hurt, he'll put down. B. Both of these options are likely. The first one more than the other. The reason I also suspect the second theory is because most of the neighbors knew that I lived there with them. Many of them had seen
What?
me leaving and entering the apartment, and many of them occasionally said hi to me in passing. So most of the neighbors knew about me as well. I'm also
That
incredibly
looks
small,
wild.
5 foot tall even. So I'd be an
Oh
easy
man.
target. Luckily, I'll never know what
Whoa,
would have happened
dude.
that night. I don't know what could have happened if he wasn't there that night.
That,
But I know for a fact that
wow.
something would have happened to me.
That's
I
just
wasn't a target to begin with.
cool, I guess.
Definitely would have become one if the guy walked in and saw me alone, like whatever guardian angel that placed Buddy there that specific night. Every time I have told this story
That's
to
a really
friends,
neat
they
effect.
told me I am being paranoid, that I probably wouldn't have gotten hurt. I don't believe that. Nobody planned such a break-in without malicious intent to begin with. So I don't know for a second that I wouldn't have been caught in the middle of it if I were alone. So to whoever those hooded guys were that stole the camera, entered the apartment, we'd never meet again. Back in late 2016, I, female, then 23, was moving from NYC to Boston. Two college friends, also female, agreed to live with me, and we started looking for an apartment. We were fond of one place in particular, out in the suburbs next to a forest park. I got to talking with the landlord, an older man probably in his 70s. He mentioned that I repair antique dolls. He excitedly said he had a doll his mother's uncle had brought her back from Germany in World War I, and the elastic holding the arms on had worn out. I said I could definitely fix it, and we exchanged contact info. He was firm that my work would have to take place at his house since he was nervous about moving a fragile antique. But at the time, I didn't think it was worth it. Now that I'm older and wiser, I know doll doctor house calls are not the norm. Ultimately, we went with another place closer to the city proper, but I didn't want to lose a prospective doll repair client. I called him a week or so after we got settled, and once again, he seemed delighted to get his family heirloom fixed. Nothing seemed odd until I asked for his address to work out how to get there. Don't worry about it, he said. I'll pick you up. What's your new address? My eagerness pulled a little. I tried to put him off by saying that I didn't want to bring him out of his way, and I could get myself there, no problem. He kept insisting. Never even told me what town he lived in. Just repeated over and over that it was fine. He'd pick me up. There would be no trouble at all. Eager for the business, and a bit embarrassed about my paranoia and Kate. I told him my address and we arranged
Oh,
a
that's
date
pretty
to
cool. You just see him leaking blood.
over the next few days. Literally everyone in my life told me to call him
That's
cancel.
really cool.
My housemates asked if I'd lost my mind. My mom and sister both told me I was driving them mad with worry. To be honest, I think I was looking for an excuse to call the whole thing off. It just didn't feel right. I called the evening before the appointed day and left a message saying that something had come up. I added that if he was free the following Monday, my housemate could drive me over, so he wouldn't be. Which was true. She'd offered in a last-ditch effort to make me see sense. The next day, before midnight rolled around, I was sitting in the living room, working on a solar project when a car
Staggered
pulled
him
up
in
in
the
front of
face.
I looked down, and I heard Jim, the old man sitting in the driver's seat. He didn't look up, didn't appear to see me. He just sat there for what felt like a century until, finally, he started the car and drove off. Never saw him again. He never contacted me about getting his mother's precious doll repaired. And maybe I was overreacting to an
Like
innocent
Gladiator.
more social skills forgot to call back. But I had a bad feeling about the
I thought
situation.
you were always
But
but I thought wrong. Just a tale, Katie. Like a moth flittering towards a flame. You fellows, no? Don't you agree?
Returning the souvenir of a prize. What? That's cool.
Okay. I'm going to try to explain this clearly without it being a novel. In my early 20s, I waitressed and bartended at a hotel restaurant. Construction workers in town for work often stayed at the hotel, and it would come eat and drink at the restaurant. And when it really called, you'd go. Not the case, but always a man correct. And whenever he was in town to hang out, whatever, he lived 2 states over, but was in my area a lot. One time I was working the job, staying in a town that stayed over. I drove to meet him. When I got to his hotel, every hit the hotel bar and had a few drinks with some other construction guys that had to be there. Not his company. Then went back to the room. Later we decided to order food from the bar. The cook was in the shower when the bar called.
Some moments are better with people. Diagnosis, anxiety, begin decreasing.
Therapy is one of them. She was all about getting real human-to-human support. Better with people, better with all of them. Let's refresh.
Oh, these things are tough.
Welcome to Reinvention.
Oh,
Adventure.
So, I went and picked up our food. The guys we were drinking with earlier were still there. And pretty stuffed by this time. Also, we were busy for a while, so I sat in the baseball slot. One of the construction guys, great. Came over and immediately started singing. But I don't play well at it. That song we heard over and over. And I directly, loudly, tell him to get away from me. He finally did once others started noticing. Cluster rage, the bartender.
Ah!
All about it. He rolled his eyes and he was really soft on it. My phone was gone. Rick and I went to the bar to look for it. The guys were gone, but the bar kept fully
No. No, 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 no.
I told Rick that he, of course, actually.
Oh, man, this is so bad.
I'm not saying that's correct. 6 foot 7, by the way. This guy don't what would happen. The creep, way too enthusiastic to swung the door open.
Oh,
grabbed my
shit.
gun, and proceeded to
Alright, we're just gonna run a second. We're just gonna... I want to pull out the light and see if I can't do it. Yeah. There you go. Alright, there we go. Oh, I got myself in a heck of a spot. There you go. Dude. Oh.
like an adult. But handsome, strange, older man. He'd drive around on his bike, take me to nice, quiet dinners. Always offered to pay, and even did little things like hold his arm out when I walked downstairs or off a curb. Never experienced this before. But it's that sweet experience.
Oh boy, what is that? We got. That's not that. Ooh, that. Okay. Hey. Hey. That's not good. I didn't even know about that.
Say things that way. That's what the ladies do. Now, lady, right? Don't wear that lipstick. Fashion. But I guess maybe I was being inappropriate. Right? I should act more like an adult than a child.
Oh shit. Okay.
Place he rented a room from.
I want to kill the smile first. That's not good. Really, bro. Wow. No.
Just a whore, little girl, and shit like that over and over. I blocked her, and she'd have friends send me the same BS. She freaked me out, and he always denied it and apologized for her behavior. But there were days he wouldn't show Christmas.
Well, I've got it. It's still opened up then. If it's still opened up, I could probably...
Tried to confront him, but he always denied having anything to do with her. And repeatedly she wanted to ruin his life. And she
not have to go through all that.
coworker, she was my friend. And would color things on kids' menus like my name, listen, his name, Hart. And then told him she wanted me to have it. She'd send me a random picture of him in a booth at my work. And I'd put the pieces together when I got there and got her notes, asking the coworkers where she was sitting and what she looked like. It was gross and embarrassing. A little scared. My car was broken into at school, and nothing was taken from it but a bill that had my address on it. I was then so scared. I'd come home at any point in time, and she'd start calling over and over as soon as I closed the door behind me. I'm shocked. She would call my work and school saying she was my mom and try to get more info on me.
I dropped down. That's what, yeah, from right there.
Fired. My roommates finally kicked me out because they were rightfully freaked out. So I turned to the police. They put me in contact with a detective
That's interesting, man. We should go do that then.
She left me at work. I never answered the phone or responded to a single message from her. I had hundreds of calls, texts, all these months.
Yeah, at the boss fight.
The same number. I blocked that number. Super blocked. I could keep a log on all the attempts. Plus, I could journal of every incident being able to make it to the police. Hey, I watched a lot of crime documentaries. He told me there was nothing he could do to trace the number back to a specific person. She hadn't pressed my safety. His hands were tied. The very next day he called me in a spirit hand. He had told me about back. I was confused, and when I asked what the hell he meant,
I messed it up.
calling the other mom's house throughout the night, terrifying her every kid. Because I was the 20-year-old, she was 36. Of course he was going to believe me, of course. But she never called him. His big goes to his office to show me this evidence against me. He forwarded him a bunch of texts saying things like, "You're a little whore, I'm just sick of that." I would never say something like that to someone. I know I didn't send these types of texts, especially overnight. And I had to come the next day. He didn't believe me. He dismissed me. He ultimately turned against me and was now on her side. She was crushing me. I broke things off for the day. Basically told them to fuck off. We still had to go to school together. I embarrassed myself for one of my friends for spending it so long. Who I had to beg to make sure this girl didn't come around again.
You really are fond of chat. If I didn't know better. Oh no.
Social media. It still freaks me out that we all live in the same town. She messaged me a few years ago from a different account when I was back on social media. Said she was sorry. That she was manipulated by Dave. Said they did this to many girls. This was disturbing. God mentioned to me. Did the mother of a 6-year-old really have nothing better to do than play fucked up games with a sociopath? Two sociopaths together, I guess. I work at a convenience store. I've had some creepy customers come in before, but this one was a little more disturbing. If it weren't for what had been said and done, I don't think this would have been that bad. I normally work third shift, which is 4 p.m. to around 12 a.m. And I'm by myself for the last 4 hours of my shift. This man had come in earlier that day and was acting odd, jittery, chewing at his lip constantly, fumbling with his debit card. At points I did everything for him except putting the pin in. Fast forward to around 10:30 p.m. I'm sweeping the floors as I'm supposed to do every night. I ran into him. He approached my register, and I asked him what he needed. Hey, can I have one of those lighters? I pick one up and go to scan it. But he tells me that he doesn't have any money. I tell him he can't have it, and he glares at me before leaving. A man was in line behind him, and the entire time I was scanning his things, the lighter guy was staring at me through the window right next to my register. He eventually walks off. The man jokes about the creepy guy asking for a lighter, and he, the man in line, didn't even have his with him. He tells me to be safe. He walks out to the gas pumps. I start sweeping again. But then I turn around to move a small crate out of my way. The creepy guy is staring at me again, just watching me work. I quickly make my way to the back room to make my mouth water so I could get away from him for a second. He stayed there for a solid 5 minutes before stalking off again. Grabbed a random receipt, coming, and basically bolted to the man at the gas pumps. I got close, and asked if he was in a hurry to go anywhere. I told him the creepy lighter guy was still hanging around, and that it was really freaking me out. He promised me that he didn't plan on actually leaving after getting gas. At this point, I thought it wouldn't take up too much of his time, since we both thought the man was already wandering away from the store. Unfortunately, he went back toward the store a few
Alright,
seconds
well,
later.
I'm gonna call it a night. We'll work on it tomorrow. I gotta be up early tomorrow. But that's what we'll do. We'll summon somebody at that boss fight. But man, I was hoping I could get back to there. I could just, man, that sucks. I'm gonna have to go through all of that. Oh well.
She quickly told me to worry more about